Hi guys, thank you for watching. Debbie here, welcome to my channel and to today's video. Super excited for this one because I've got a new palette to show you, which is something I'm not going to be saying too often whilst we're in lockdown. But I treated myself to this one. It's one of my favourite brands and picked up this palette from Beauty Bay. It's the Melt Cosmetics Rust palette. So a very neutral palette for me because I generally go more for colourful shadows. But as you guys know, if you've been here before, how much I love Melt as a brand and the quality and whatnot of their shadows. So when I saw this hit Beauty Bay, hadn't really been interested in makeup for a little while in terms of purchasing anything. And then I saw this and I was like, oh, I've got to have that. And I had £20 worth of try points, so why not? So got the palette and I also got the gel liner that matches in the shade Burnish as well. So I'll quickly show you the gel liner first. So if you're not familiar with Melt's gel liners, they come in little pots like this and they're super creamy, easy to apply, and I love my wings and they're quite easy to create a wing with. They're probably a bit more tricky than using a liquid liner, but they're really long lasting and they're the sort of product that you can use as an eyeshadow base as well because they are loose enough of a formula for that. So that's the shade. It's like a chocolatey sort of really rich shade. It's a matte gel liner, really nice. So that was £16 and as I say the palette was £49. So in total for me it cost me £45 to get the two with my try points. So underneath my £50 budget for the month, which is all I'm allowing myself to spend during lockdown. So I can't buy anything else in the month of April, but I'm not sorry I got it. Now it's here, it's so lovely. So I'm going to show you the inside. You've got a mirror and then there are the shades inside. So what made me excited about this then if it's a neutral palette? Well, if I'm looking for neutrals, I'm looking for a range of different tones. So I always want, light to dark. So a whole range of colours. We've got a super deep chocolate brown here, which you don't find too often in neutral palettes. You know, this range from completely light to completely dark like this. So that's an interesting tone. I love that you've got a cream rather than a sort of, I don't know, beigey kind of light tone. So that's an interesting one for being a light shade. Really interested in these pukey kind of yellowy brown shades here. And I love the ratio. You've got 10 shades, but you've only got 3 shimmers. So that's probably my preferred ratio, to have more mattes than shimmers. The shimmers as well have got completely different tones to them. For example, the shade Redox is like more of a kind of rose gold kind of shimmer. But then Tarnish is like an old gold and Ravish is a lot deeper of a shade. So I think they've chosen really well for the shimmers that are in the palette as well. It's a revamped version of the Rust Stack, which had 5 shades in it. You've got 10 shades here, so you've got more shades to play with, but obviously less product. But I do love the 10 pan palettes from Melt. I love the designs of them. They're always like really beautiful packaging. Like that's stunning on the front of there. And they're all the same size, which I appreciate, really easy for storage. So that's why I picked it up. And you know, I do love neutrals, but I have to put a spin on them. So that's what I'm going to try and do with this palette. I'm not going to do just your traditional kind of look. I'm going to do probably a cut crease and do something a little bit interesting with it if I can. So without further ado, I'm going to scooch you in and we're going to get these shadows on my eyes. I'm going to go in with the deepest shade first, which is Rot. So I'm going to do that in my crease and quite high because I want to create quite a lot of definition there for the cut crease that I'm going to do. And I'm going to do this cut crease all matte, I think, which I don't do too often. I'm going in with a firm blender brush from Sigma. So this is the E44. Going over an unset base, the MAC Painterly paint pot as I normally do. I'm going to start at the front of my crease and I don't want to take it down. So I'm going to try and keep this an open cut crease at the front. And Melt shadows are pretty powdery and have quite a lot of kick up in the pan, so I'm being pretty careful of how much I pick up at a time. Literally hardly picked up anything from the pan and I'm getting that amount of pigmentation. So you do have to be pretty careful. I'm fairly familiar with the formula now. If you swirl your brush around, you'll end up with Fallout City, and with a shade as deep as this you want to try and avoid that. So I'm just literally dabbing to the pan and then building the colour up, and that's what I find works best for these. Could have made my life a little bit easier, I think, by using a set base, but I think we're going to be fine. So that shade is blending nicely and it's going on really smoothly. Ultra pigmented, as I say. I've hardly picked up any shadow and it's going a long, long way. But the amount of kick up in the pan is a lot. So I'm trying to get this symmetry thing down, which I'm not the greatest at. And I'm trying not to bring that down towards like my tear duct area. I want to keep it open at the front there. Swap into a taper blending E45, also from Sigma. Just want a bit more of a flexible brush so I can then bring that down into the outer V. Got a little bit of patchiness there in the outer corner, but I think it's more, I haven't picked up very much product because I'm trying, as I say, not to get too much fallout. I want to bring this out sort of a little bit of a winged out shape, but not really a wing. It's a super dark way to start a look, that's for sure, but I think sometimes when I'm doing a cut crease like this, I find it easier to go in with the really deepest colour and to take it quite high so that I can then blend other shades into that colour and I can still see that distinction then in the cut crease. It's only going to be a half cut crease because that's what I do a lot better than a full one. Just want to spend a bit of time just blending the edges there before I go in with the next shade that I'm going to use. So I'm using a natural hair brush here. It's Morphe M573. It's quite a big blending brush, but I think for what I'm trying to do, it'll work quite well. Just literally want to diffuse those edges so that when I blend another shade into there, you can see the distinction between the two. So now in with a Morphe 506 in the shade Rubbish, I'm going to blend that above where I've put the Rot shade. So I'm going to take that 50% on that Rot shade and 50% towards my brow. Again, just picking up the very tiniest bit from the pan at a time. Just taking my time to get a gradient really between those two. I love the grungy tones of this palette. I love that you could take it in a couple of different directions. You could take it grungy and reasonably cool tone like I'm doing here, or you could go super warm tone with a rusty shade, but deliberately stayed away from the rush shade in this look. I just wanted to try some of the more interesting tones, or interesting to me anyway. That's blending really, really nicely and looking pretty strong. Just going to go in with a tad more of that Rock shade just in the outer corner. Now I'm going in with my Conceal and Define Concealer by Revolution and cut crease brush from Sigma. You guys know the deal. If you've seen me do a cut crease with concealer before, these are my tools of choice. And I'm going to be creating an open cut crease, so starting from that kind of angle, not bringing it down. I'm going to about the middle of my eyelid there. And actually on older eyes, I think this is one of the easier cut crease shapes to do, because you're pretty much going straight, so you haven't got to worry about the folds of your eyes. So that's that one done. Just quickly gonna run through the other eye. Now for the majority of that cut crease, I want to use the shade Erode because that just looks such a beautiful mustardy shade. I just can't wait to get that on my eyes, so that's what we're going to do. Just going to press that all over my lids. And again, because these are quite powdery shadows, just take your time picking that up because otherwise you're going to get it all in your eye. I want to bring that around my tear duct and onto my lower lash line as well. And then I've got a gap now in between, and to fill that we're going to go in with the shade Mar. I'm just picking this up on a Linda Hallberg 303. What I'm aiming to do here is have almost a diagonal shape, so going out that way. Just picking up a bit of that Erode shade just to help with the blend there. Going to whiz through the other eye so we get to the same stage with that eye. For my waterline, I'm going to bring a bit of orange in. I'm going to go for Likeable Mood by Linda Hallberg. So for my lower lash line then, I'm going to go back in with the Rot shade. I'm going to bring the shape sort of down slightly, not kind of like the normal kind of really dipped inner corner that I do, but slightly down. Using the 301 lip brush by Urban Decay to do this. I want to keep quite close to my lashes, so I thought this one might be good. It's got that angled shape to get pretty close. As I say, I want to leave a bit of open space there. It looks super harsh at the moment, but we're going to blend below that. I just want to get that shape. And I'm just really carefully going to fill in some of that yellow, the Erode shade, in that gap. So just bringing that in close to my lashes on this front portion here. And now to finish the lower lash line, I'm going to go in with the shade Rubbish and a Morphe 506. I'm just going to run that underneath that Rot shade. I want this to be super blown out and grungy on the lower lash line, so taking it right into that eye bag area there. Okay, so that's the shadows done. I am going to use that Burnish shade as my eyeliner on my upper lids. I'm just going to do a trace of it just across my eye. I'm not going to wing it or anything. I've got a fine eyeliner EO5 from Sigma. Anything with quite a precise tip would be good. And I'm just going to take that along that upper lash line there. Just keeping that pretty close to my lashes. That's just a little bit softer than using black, so just going to hop off camera for mascara and a lip, and I'll be right back with you to show you the finished look. Okay guys, so here's the finished look for this one. And and I've paired it with a YSL lipstick. Got a bit luxe today. It's an old one in my collection. It's shade 17. Just wanted something coral to offset the eyes a little bit, and I think it's worked really well. It's not a shade I have too many of in my collection, and I think I want to buy some more like deeper coral kind of shades once we can start buying makeup a little bit more easily again. Really enjoyed playing with the palette. So my thoughts so far, I think it's the same quality that we've come to expect from Melt, and you guys know I love their quality anyway. I think they're easy to blend. There is a lot of kick up in the pan. If you're one of those that swirls your brush around like crazy and picks up a lot of pigment, if you're used to using, say, Morphe shadows and then you move to these, you'll struggle, because there's similar levels of kick up to an Anastasia shadow, perhaps even a little bit more on a couple of these, like that yellow shade, like that Erode shade definitely had quite a lot of kick up. They all did really. I used 4 shades out of the palette, so I've not used the shimmers yet, not used every shade. So as I say, it's only your first impressions, but got on really well with the shades that I've used, as I pretty much knew I would, because I think Melt are one of the most consistent brands out there for quality. So it's just nice sometimes to just play with neutrals, and I think it still came out quite a dramatic look and quite an interesting look. But I think you could do quite classic kind of smoky eyes with this. You could do just an all over the lid shimmer shade and a wing, and you'd be pretty much good to go. So I will do some more looks with this and show you the versatility of it if you're considering picking it up. But I think it's way better in terms of options and looks that you could create than the original stack. Although I do really love the stacks, but there's just something about their palettes as well. So as I say, I'm a massive fan of the brand. It's very difficult for me to give an unbiased review now, because everything I've used I've found to be pretty consistent across the board. So as I say, if I found anything to complain about, it'd be the amount of kick up, and perhaps that you've got to go in fairly light-handed if you do your eyes second like I do. Otherwise you're going to get a lot of fallout on your cheeks. But if you build it up slowly, then you can still get a hell of a lot of pigmentation without having that happen. So it's just a case of adjusting your technique depending on what the formula is, and that's what I always would do anyway. So yeah, liking it so far. Definitely going to be playing with it some more in future videos. But that's pretty much all I've got to say. The gel liner, love the shade. It's like that chestnutty brown. It's a beautiful, beautiful colour, that Burnish shade. I've got most of them now except for the black, or all of them I think except the black. But I found this one to be a bit easier to work with for some reason. Maybe because it's a neutral colour and I only put it just, you know, in that portion there. When I make wings with them, you've got to be quite careful and quite quick, because they do dry down pretty quickly. But knowing from the formula of the others, they last really, really well. You can even use them to like highlight your cut crease like area there. I've done that with the silver one, and it stays all day. It doesn't smudge or fade or anything. So although they seem expensive at £16 a pot, that will last you a very, very long time. I've had the Fortuna one and the Santos one since the Amor Eterno collection came out, and they're still the same. They haven't dried out, which is again another important consideration if you're buying a gel liner. So yeah, that pretty much concludes my thoughts at the moment. But as I say, I'll keep you informed if my opinions change when I use the shimmers, of course. But thank you so much for watching, guys. And if you're not subscribed already, I would love to have you. Have a lovely day or night wherever you are and whatever you're doing. I hope you're all keeping safe, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.